this is relevant to what we just finished learning about. You have to be self-inspired, and one of the impediments to being self-inspired is your own egotism. You think about yourself. So here's the story. Once there was a poor man. A poor man. This is a story happened in, let's say, in Poland. Didn't really say, but let's say it happened in Poland. There was a poor Jew on the street. And one day he did a favor for somebody, and a tzaddik, a righteous Jew, totally a holy Jew, came up to him and said, I saw the good deed you just did. You gave your last money to another poor person, you helped somebody out. Therefore, I'm giving you a blessing that you should be rich, you should be wealthy. But remember to give charity. And this person said, listen, charity, that's my whole nature, is whatever I have, I give to others. Here, you see, I just gave to somebody else. So, okay, remember. So sure enough, a couple of days later, this fellow is walking down the street, and he sees a big diamond or something. So he picks up the diamond, can't figure it out, and he puts notes all over the place that anybody lose a diamond, call it, nobody lost it. And so he goes to a diamond merchant. Diamond merchant says, where'd you get this from? He said, I found it in the street. I can't believe it. So, well, this thing is worth about $1 million. So he says to the diamond merchant, listen, ask around. See, maybe somebody lost this thing. Diamond merchant says, nobody loses a diamond of $1 million. Nobody loses a thing like this. This belongs to you. This belongs to you. Give it. So he gives him, says, okay, keep the money. Meanwhile, this person, the poor guy, he becomes suddenly rich. And he buys a nice big house, a nice big mansion, and he has servants in the mansion, and he invests money, and people come to him and ask him for advice about giving investments. And a rich guy, rich, you must be smart. So he gives charity. He gives charity for sure to the rich people, to the people. But as time goes on, so he makes these big investments, and he's busy. So he hasn't got time for all the poor people anymore. So he takes one of his servants to stand at the door. And when people come knocking, you give charity to them. And eventually it comes to the point where he says, maybe I'm giving a little bit too much away. I'm giving it too much. Give like half. And then he limits the days. You want to come and get charity, it's only on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, something like that. And such an hour as he gives. Until finally, this rich person, he gets to the point where he just doesn't have time for the poor people anymore. He's just so busy. People ring his bell, and he just doesn't have time for them. The servants, why should he have a servant that only deals with these poor people? It's taking away from his money. Anyway, with all the excuses, eventually it gets to the point where he gives charity like one time a week with, only a few hours, something like that. So one day, the original tzaddik, this original righteous Jew, comes to his house and knocks on the door. In the time when the times of giving charity. So his servant opens up the door and says, yes, you want, here takes $50. Says, no, I want to see the owner. Says, no, you can't see the owner. I'm sorry, he's very busy. He just pushes his way in. So the butler that's standing at the door he doesn't know what to do. Here's this holy Jew, an old guy, he's not going to push him away. So he wants to run in front of him, say, listen, you can't see the master. He's just don't worry about it. He goes and looks, and the servant runs up and gets the owner and says, listen, there's some old Jewish guy that came knocking on the door, and he burst in. He came in. I can't stop him. I don't know what I should do. Should I throw him out? He says, let me have a look. He goes down and says, oh, the big tzaddik. He says, you remember me? He says, of course. You were the one that gave me the blessing. And I found the diamond and I'm rich. Did you give charity? Yes, I did. I gave a lot of charity. Well, I see that there's a note only one time of the week. I said, listen, I was very busy. I didn't. Yeah, you're right. I think I made a little mistake. I'll make it 3 times a week. So he says, I'd like to look around your house a little bit. I says, oh, sure. Have a look. So he looks around the house to see this big chandelier. This I brought from France. Cost $10,000. See this? He says there was a big mirror that this rich guy, he put in front of the front window. There was a big front window, and he put a big mirror in front of it. It was like the second floor. And he put a big mirror there. So he says, nice mirror. He says, oh, this mirror, I brought it especially from Germany. This thing is, it's got a silver back to it. Look at yourself. You can see perfect. The guy takes out a little penknife. The tzaddik takes out a penknife, and he goes back of the mirror and he starts scraping away the. So he says, excuse me, but you're wrecking. It wrecks. He says, they're scraping away. He says, please listen. Maybe you could scrape somewhere else. I mean, it's very expensive. He's scraping. He keeps scraping and scraping and scraping. He says, maybe I can get you a coffee, maybe like a tea, maybe you'd like to see another room, and maybe I'll give him more charity. Well, he's scratching. Meanwhile, he realizes it's not going to help. He scratches a little square in the mirror from the back, scratches away the silver. So he says, tell me, Mr. Groyce, that's the rich guy. Tell me, Mr. Look in this mirror. What do you see? What do you see? It says, which part? The part over here where I didn't scratch. It says, I see myself. I see myself. It says, now look over this place where I scratched. What do you see now? It says, you scratched away the silver, so it doesn't reflect anymore. It says, but what do you see? Meanwhile, this the rabbi, he pulled the curtain, right? The mirror was covering up this window. So he pulled the curtain of the window. So he said, well, look, I can see right through, I can't, it's not a mirror anymore. It's just, what do you see through? He says, I look out, I see the street. I see it. What do you see in the street? He said, I see in the street, I see people. What do I see? I see people in the street. Maybe you'd like to see another room. He said, no. What people do you see? He says, what people? And he realizes this guy, this rabbi, he was the one that gave him the blessing, so he has to humor him, right? He says, I see people. What people do you see? He says, oh, I see. Well, is that Leah, the widow, with her 5 children begging on the street? Wow, yeah, I see. What else do you see? He says, wow, that's Shmerel. Look at his crutches. Wow, look at that. He's walking with his crutches. Yeah, I see. Oh, he used to be a big friend of mine. I remember it says, what else do you see? It says, oh, I see all these. Oh, those were the children for the orphans. I didn't. So that's what I wanted to teach you. He said, before you were rich, you gave charity. And now you're rich. It's like this mirror. The silver makes you see only yourself. When you scratch away the silver, so then you can see other people, you can see others. Maybe I should take all of your money away from you. Says, no. You're right. I made a big mistake. If you want to take the money away from me, I deserve it. But please, I'll promise from now on, I'm going to give with a full hand. I personally will go out. Said, okay, what's the point of the story? That sometimes the biggest impediment for us to see the truth is our success. Our own success. And even if we're not successful, the fact that we think we're better than everybody else or anybody else, is that makes it impossible to see the good in other people and what other people need, and to see the truth, that we're lucky to be alive. Therefore, we can learn from the story that sometimes we have to scratch away a little bit of our own selfishness in order to see others. Now we'll do the Yom Yom. 1 second.